Hello, everybody. Osobor follows his coach. A big name stays in the NBA draft. Someone enters the portal. And then Kentucky is battling over a recruit with checking my notes, Sienna. All that and more right now, recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that Green Screens Media train. This is One and Done, your fast break of college basketball information. We are powered by the world, the galaxy, dare I say the universe's greatest website, and that, of course, is drroto.com. I am your sometimes humble host. My name is Jay Heinrich. I happen to be the conductor of the aforementioned Green Screens Media train, getting this train right down the tracks. Find me on X at Dr. William Cannon. Follow me, and I always follow back. We had a full house last night, all four broskies. Not so much tonight, just the two bringing you the heat. So let's get to one of the best in the business. You know him as El Capitan himself, the captain of the Green Screens Media ship. He does the ship, I do the train. That's how this works. Follow him on X at MC Holland34, the OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what it do, baby?
What's up, man? Feels like a two-man fast break, right? Like we played a 30-second shot clock last night and got the quick steal and the quick turnaround, and here we are. And I'm excited, man. Not too often do you get news when you wake up, and it's significant. Got a couple of stories we're going to talk about, and it's been kind of an interesting day overall. As the draft combine has started, we're starting to get some numbers that we're kind of like, oh, that's interesting. Didn't know that guy had a 42-inch vertical. So, man, we got some good stuff for you guys out there tonight.
Absolutely. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. And if you're hanging out with us live, you should definitely hop in that live chat. Big Blue Nation has been active in there lately. Let me hear it if you are hanging out with us tonight. If it's your first time, long time, doesn't matter. Drop us something in the live chat. Just like our guy, Eric the Blue did. Drop in those fire emojis. Bring in the heat from the button room. Of course, he's always pushing buttons, but literally tonight as well. So give him a follow at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets. And then, of course, our guy who was the host in the host chair last night, our guy Nape C. Hustle at The Real Napier, our guy Chris. Give everybody a follow. And, of course, follow at One and Done CBB over on Elon's Hellhole. Make sure you do that. We're over there posting up all of our content. Make sure you get us over there as well. Oh, what do you know? Asking you shall receive. There is the man, Nape C. Hustle.
More fire, man.
More fire. Oh, loving it. Loving it. It's hot already in the live chat. Join them and join us in the Green Screens Media universe by pushing that subscribe button. Maybe even turning on the notification bell. Who knows? Who knows? Do your thing. Do your part. Now let's get to the headlines. Ladies and gents, broskies and broskettes. This one dropped pretty early this morning. Great Osobor following Coach Sprinkle to Washington this offseason. He was our 15th rated player in the transfer portal in the top 500 over at drroto.com, which, by the way, it's free. It's gratis. Go over there and get you a little bit of our top 500 that Mike and Napesy Hustle have been working so hard on. This was like 6 a.m. Pacific time, which, let me do the math. Carry the 1 divided by 2. That was 8 a.m. Central Time. Okay, which makes sense. But yeah, so, great Osobor following his coach to Washington. Not necessarily that big of a deal, but sort of what caught people's eye was the $2 million number that was thrown out there for NIL deals that great Osobor has signed. Now, that's a lot That's a lot to unpack here, Mike. So before we get into the money side of things, like the astronomical numbers that we're talking here, how about the basketball side of things for Washington and how Osobor fits?
Isn't that funny? Like the basketball part is the least interesting, even though he's a top 15 player on our transfer board. But yeah, we'll talk. I guess we could talk hoops on this show. We're talking hoops early. We're usually not on this early, so if we seem a little weird tonight, that's probably why. But coming to you live a few minutes earlier. But yeah, I mean, from a basketball perspective, this was a very big get, an important get for Coach Sprinkle in year one, as Washington is now heading to the Big Ten. This front court, really this entire roster was just kind of like, I don't know, kind of like, it's okay. Like it's not, probably, bottom four in the Big Ten to me at least. And now you had the Mountain West Player of the Year, a kid that absolutely changes your entire roster in Osobor. And now you look at this roster and like, okay, middle of the pack, could make some things happen depending on how they finish up this roster. So obviously massive upgrade to the front court. He's a guy that plays inside. You're looking at, Kepnang, who just continues to get injured every year. Bradenbach, just really a role player. You've got a Beakway coming over. I actually like him as a defensive player. And then the Conway kid, Chris Conway, coming over from Oakland, who, obviously in that starting five for the team that beat Kentucky, but, he's more of a tertiary piece on that team. So now you add Osobor to the mix and get you some easy buckets inside. Also a very good passer. He's going to be playing with two underrated guards. So DJ Davis, obviously we know him from Butler, coming over, and then Makai Mason, who I really like from Rice. I feel like he could have we said this a few times, the Quincy Olivari effect that happened for Xavier last year. So I feel like Mason and Osobor, just a very good 1-2 punch. You add in the kid that we talked about last night, Tyler Harris from Portland's coming over. It's really going to be, can he transition from, a lower mid up into this Big Ten? He's a kind of a stretch 3, stretch 4, young player, great freshman year that we talked about. If you didn't check out last night's show, go back and check that out. But the fit right now for Osobor, obviously we talk about fit when they go with their coach. Well, the coach helped him get to Mountain West Player of the Year. So obviously the fit is going to be good for this system. And yeah, I just think you just really need like a second dominant type piece. Like, I don't know if Mason or Davis can be that guy. And there's just not a lot of guys left, and really nobody on the radar for Washington that's going to be like this big deal. So it'll be key for either Davis, or I think it's more than likely Mason's going to need to step into that role for sure. But yeah, Jay, we got to get to the money part, man. Get to the monies, man. What did you think about it? It's kind of weird that the money was announced with it. We haven't seen that too often.
It felt like a major league contract announcement, like getting tweeted out, right? Like this, and honestly, we all need to come to a general understanding that this is what it is now. Like, it's past the point of no return. We're there. So expect that to happen more and more often as more and more of these years pass. Now, with the NIL deal, like Dickie V, right? My guy, Dick Vitale.
Come on, baby.
It's chaos, baby. It's just rolling on. Okay, he goes, chaos just rolls on with the best free agency system that has caused the wild, wild west. The NCAA has created a nightmare for coaches as they set zero rules and regulations. Have no problem that players get their money, but there should be rules. Yeah, I mean, this is what we've been saying. Like, the lack of attention paid to the lack of just what's the word I'm looking for here, Mike? The NCAA didn't put their best.
They just don't do anything.
There's no sense of urgency, is what I was trying to come up with.
Zero.
There's no urgency to come up with something there. They're supposed to be a governing body, and they're not governing anything. So that is where you get the Wild Wild West comparison in there. It's tough. It is tough, and I understand where Dickie V is coming from. Now, money-wise, this is the highest known valuation for a player. I mean, if we're being honest, and we all know that these deals have been going on long before NIL was a thing, and we were talking about this. Like, this was happening. But from the standpoint of this new day and age, like $2 million just coming out flat out and saying it off the top, like it's a big deal. So
shouldn't Zach Edey come back? Like,
why not? I mean,
Osobor is getting $2 million.
Did you watch Zach Edey run that? Why did they make them run that?
I don't know.
What is the point of that? It's so dumb. Like it's zero. It's just stupid. It's dumb. But either way, like, yeah. So, and then of course I had to fit in my obligatory Washington in the Big Ten is weird. I'm going to say it every time I talk. Anybody says it for a while. It's going to be weird for a while. It's weird. It's just what it is. But they are doing it. Yeah. Yeah, Coleman Hawkins saying, right? Or what did he say? Did he have
it was just
like it was very vague.
It was
like,
oh.
Saying like I'm about to blow this out of the water. So
exactly.
We'll see. We will see. Let us know.
Remember when 600,000, Jay, was like a freak out deal from Nigel Pack? And we were like,
yeah, right?
Like, we were like, whoa, that's a lot of money.
That's just, oh my gosh, 600,000. Wow. 2 million. This is where
we got every penny of that because that whole deal was weird with the crypto or whatever was happening with that.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing is now these players are learning, and there's got to be people that the first ones that fail at it, right? And then they can teach them and learn from that. And hopefully he got all of that money for sure. Make sure, you let us know in the live chat what you think about $2 million for Great Osobor. If you're not watching live, make sure you hop in that comment section as well. Give us a shout out and let us know what you think about this move here. Osobor, $2 million, big time stuff there. So
$2 million for a team $2 million for like a team that probably going to finish like the ceiling of this roster is not.
No,
I mean Sprinkle's done a great job the last year. Obviously, he's in this position for a reason. Yes, exactly. Like you really are because you're paying $2 million.
Yeah, this is a bet on Sprinkle, and I don't blame him for taking it. When you can get a player this quality, a guy that's familiar with your coach's system, and you get him on campus, why not? Go for it. Excellent stuff. Make sure you hop in that live chat, those comments, hit those like and subscribe buttons, and those notification bells. As now we move on to a big name sticking around in the NBA draft. Not one that I really thought we would see, but indeed, Bronny James himself hanging around, will stick around for the draft. Yes, he's chunking it up, throwing up the deuce to college and heading to the NBA. This was also some news that broke early this morning, and a part of that news, Mike, were his measurements. He was usually listed at 6'4", as far back as anybody cares to look. But he's actually measured at 6'1.5". You said you responded to me when I said this in the text thread earlier. You said he's 6'1", and I said yes, and a half. So what are your thoughts on Bronny staying in the draft? Now, obviously it's fun to bronk. I'm thinking of Bronny, to dunk on Bronny, to bronk on him.
The bronk on him?
It's easy to dunk on Bronny at this point. It's easy to go in that direction here and say, well, this kid has no business even entertaining this. And if his name wasn't, if it wasn't James on the back of his jersey, maybe this isn't the conversation we're even having. But tell us a little bit about how he tested today, what these scouts are looking at in him, and sort of how you think this is going to end up for Bronny.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the kind of the shocking measurements, I know in football, like we see it a lot, right? You see guys that are listed at 6'5", the receivers really, 6'4", 6'5", and then they get in there and they're 6'1". And you're like, wait, what happened here? That happens quite a bit, and even it happens in the NBA too. I mean, you got guys listed at 7 foot and they're 6'8" or whatever. So, just is what it is, right? But I'm looking at, I mean, obviously hurts, right? There's a big difference between a legit 6'4", guy that can be more of a combo guy. A 6'1", I mean, there's really one position. Could you guard some? You're talking like 6'6", 6'7", sometimes 6'8", 6'9", 2 guards these days. So
yeah, who's he guarding?
Yeah, you don't love it, but he's more of a 3-and-D guy anyway. I don't think he was ever going to be like this premier, starter, like superstar status. those 3-and-D guys, they make a lot of money and they stick around for a very long time. Now, usually 3-and-D, you like it more on the wing, right? You like it more as like your 4-man. You don't really hear the term 3-and-D a lot with a guard, but that is kind of valuable. You look at some of the guys that play like some of that junkyard defense out there, the Jose Alvarados. I mean, this guy, can be a really good defensive player, but he actually has a little bit of size to him compared to some of those little dudes that like to get around and make some things happen. But, all of his testing and stuff, it kind of comparison to Tyrese Maxey. And we know that, obviously Tyrese Maxey is a star, a way different skill set, right? Like Tyrese Maxey isn't really a 3-and-D guy. He's, he's obviously an all-star. So, with those two attributes, though, him being able to, I saw it today, I think he hit like 15 to 21 threes in the drill. The guy that's been known for defense. So, yeah, I think he could have a decent career. Now, you're seeing like sports books and stuff having him around pick 40. I was like kind of shocked at that. I thought that he was going to be, if he's even picked at all, right? Like, so to see that, if you can go out there and still get 40, but sometimes Vegas knows, right?
There's got to
be a reason.
No, there's something there. Like this is not that's not by accident.
No.
So,
but I think
the skill set is there. Go ahead.
No, I just think the thing for me is like the heart condition, right? Like, are we good there? I mean, we didn't really see him do anything really in his limited action. So, like, what is there to really suggest that he's going to be this like really, really good player at the next level?
But how many teams nowadays just use those second round picks as developmental pieces anyway, and then you just stash a guy and you build with him and you just put him down to the G League, give him a 2-way deal or something like that, and let him play in the G League and get some run in the professional game. I don't know, man. Like, if he's a second round pick, how many of these teams have like 7 second round picks? Like these are just commodities. You figure it out, right? You take these players and you just figure it out, right? These teams are stockpiling picks, and then others don't, and then they just take a different approach at it. But honestly, for me, like, I want him to succeed. Like to have to carry the burden,
right,
of that and the expectations of that on his own, like that's a feat by itself. Just to be able to do this. On top of that, he had the heart problem that he had to overcome just to get back onto the court. A lot weighing on this kid, and by all accounts, he's done everything right at this point. If there are attributes that you see in a player as an NBA scout that you feel like can benefit your team, then yeah, of course you could spend a second round pick on a guy like this. And I made sure to reiterate multiple times last night, this is the worst draft ever.
You did.
This is not hyperbole. I don't feel that. This is the worst draft of all time. It's the perfect time for a guy like Bronny James to come out, because why wouldn't you take a shot on this guy? What's the dip? Why not?
Yeah, right.
The talent is, you're getting there, and it's more of just an absolute dart throw as you get through this draft. None of these players, I'm sure there'll be a couple that'll be like, remember when y'all were saying this draft sucked? Look at me, I was picked 52, and I did great. Yeah, good for you. The rest of it stunk. So if Bronny James is going to come out, now would be the time. Let us know in the live chat if you feel like Bronny should have come out. Let us know in the comments if you're watching after this show is posted to YouTube. And if you're there on the page, you know what you should do? You should do your part in the Green Screens Media universe by hitting those like and subscribe buttons. We would really appreciate that. And if you want to make sure you catch us every time we go live, 2, 3, 4 times a week sometimes, it doesn't matter. We do not stop talking college basketball year-round. We're going to be here, and we want you to be here with us. So make sure you push all of those buttons and tell all the hoop heads, if you will, in your life about us. Do it. We appreciate you, and we would love to see you in the live chat tonight as well. Moving on now, I alluded to it in the cold open. Somebody entered the portal. Wait a minute. Wait, Jay, isn't the portal closed? That's not possible. Whoa, wait, okay. If coaches leave, All players get 30 days from that point on to enter the portal. So all the BYU players got that extension, and Noah Waterman has taken advantage of that. Mike, what can you tell us about Noah Waterman?
What I can tell you is that he can really shoot. So I was literally about to hit send on the top 500 over at drroto.com, and then this message came out. I was like, you know what? Like this, it's just never going to end. Right before I hit send, someone else is going to jump in the portal. Quickly evaluated everything, got him into number 120 as a stretch big forward from BYU, 6'11", 220, played 33 games, 24 minutes. Nearly 10 points a game, 5 boards, shot 37% from three. He's definitely a catch and shoot big. It's a little bit of a post-up game, but 88th percentile in transition offense. So if you're getting up and down, obviously finding him in transition for those open threes, he's able to finish those. He's an average rebounder, and like you're not going to find him like racking up stocks, even though he's 6'11". Like that's just not his game. He's more of a perimeter type player. What we're seeing and kind of what we're hearing is Louisville's firmly in the mix. And I would give old Coach Kelsey here for Louisville the BYU starting front court, from last year. So you get the Waterman Ali Khalifa tandem, and then all of a sudden it's BYU headed over to Louisville, which at this point Louisville will take a very good BYU front court from last year. So Waterman, man, that size and that shooting, you love it.
Well, Louisville needs another big in a bad way. Like, absolutely need another big here. Obviously missed on Osobor. Onyenso and Hawkins were not – Onyenso and Hawkins, we are not really hearing a ton of Louisville talk, I guess, surrounding those two players. So, Keyshawn Pryor either, UCF big man, like they're not really a factor there either, I don't think. So, makes a ton of sense, especially with that fit next to Khalifa. So we'll see. They need another one, Mike. They need another big.
Yep.
For sure. All right, hit those like and subscribe buttons. Moving on now to, hey, Big Blue Nation, it's time, okay? I'm calling. Let me hit the.
That was nice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Make sure you hop in there now. Our Kentucky faithful, get in that chat and let us know what you think about being in a recruiting battle with Siena. Yes, that is right. Don't you adjust your dial. But this is not just any old player. Okay, Ansley Almonor. We know this. It's a familiar name. Why is that? Fairleigh Dickinson. Mike, who did Fairleigh Dickinson just knock off not too long ago?
He was a certain number one seed.
Certain number one seed. That's right.
Zach Edey.
There, yeah. So if you know this name, if you haven't been paying attention, you hadn't heard this name in a while, but it rings a bell. That is why he's being recruited by Siena, Tulsa, Pepperdine, a few others. The graphics department doing some nice work right there. Shadow action. Kentucky, right big in the middle. In the background, though. As a matter of fact, he's going to take a visit tomorrow to Lexington. So now I've seen, Kentucky's in there on, why are they in there on this player when all these other ones are, these are the schools. These aren't. Kentucky should be battling with these guys. And it's like, okay, like, what's that, Mike? You love this, the idea of Kentucky picking up on Almonor. Why is that?
Yeah, this is what I've been talking about and kind of going back and forth with Kentucky. I wish Texas would, Texas last year kind of did this, taking a UT Arlington guy, taking a UTEP guy. And we were like, oh, no. But it actually ended up being okay. So, yeah, I actually don't mind this. You take a guy from the mid-major. I just said this on last night's show, willing to accept a smaller role. I guess it's really his option, right? Like, I think he knows if he goes to Kentucky, yes, is he going to compete? Absolutely. The starting front court there already looks pretty good, and they already have a backup big that looks pretty good. So, probably going to be more of a fourth, fifth type option there. So I do like it. If he's okay with it, I think he knows what he'd be getting into. Like, he could go be a star at Siena if he wanted to. Like, he just put up, I mean, for Fairleigh Dickinson, he just put up 16 and 5 on nearly 40% from three. Like, could he carve out a 10 to 12-minute role with Kentucky? Potentially, right? Like, so It's not out of the question, but this isn't a scenario. Like, when we talk about DFS, it's like, last year, Arkansas and Alabama, well, everybody was going to play 12 to 18 minutes, right? And Texas from a few years ago, we mentioned all the time, Beard won the portal, and it was like, we don't know who's supposed to be starting. Guys are getting frustrated leaving in the middle of the year. So I just think it's okay for like your 10th, 11th, 12th guy to just be like tough, grinded out players, without all the hoopla and the star rankings out there. So for locker room purposes too, I mean, guys that are willing to accept a role. Like, it's kind of like that in the NBA too. Like, guys that are just okay with, the small role they get. So, and I'm kind of with Cal. Like, you don't really want to be developing all these freshmen that are just going to transfer to other places because they didn't get a chance to play. So for me, it makes a lot of sense. But I can understand like being upset that you're in these recruiting battles with like these schools, right? Like, it just feels weird, So I don't know, man. Any thoughts on that?
I feel like this is a guy that's going to go in and say, yeah, this is my floor. It's not very high, but this will be my floor with this team. This is how much I know that I can contribute. But Almonor seems like the type of player that would find a way to make Coach Pope put him on the court. Like, he would like be such a pest. He would weasel he's that kind of player. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean 100% in a good way. And if a player like this with this talent, you use the NBA reference, right? Where we talk about people that make fun of like the guys on the end of the bench in the NBA and like, oh, these guys stink. And then they show up to a park and they beat you 21-0 and you don't even come close to scoring a shot. And it's like, oh, there's a big gap there, right? All of these college players are talented. Now, some programs with more depth, which Kentucky didn't have that long ago when Coach Pope just, got this thing going and the cupboard was bare. But now all of a sudden, you're in a situation where you can afford to throw out an offer to a player like that and say, hey, if you want to come and you want to be a part of a team that's probably going to play pretty deep into March, and chances are a player of your talent is going to find a way to have a key role. And excuse me, and you're going to be loved on this campus because we like the character that you have, and we're going to bring you on and do all this. Like, that is, it's enticing. To play at Kentucky, you're playing at Fairleigh Dickinson. Like, to go play at Kentucky, like, that feels enticing. If you want to go play professionally and you're worried about your statistics, it might not be the fit for him. But Mike, it's enticing when the Kentucky Blue comes calling, no matter who the coach is. But especially right now, with as much momentum as they have, like, I feel like it's definitely a possibility. And when they pop up like that in a sea of teams that don't look familiar to them, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's Kentucky, you've got to pay attention, man.
Yeah, I mean, I would think I'd love to hear. I mean, that's kind of my philosophy behind it. It's like, okay, take a guy that's willing to, just be okay with it. But I want to, if you're in the chat, if you're listening, watching after the show, like, let us know, whether you're a Kentucky fan or not. Like, if you're a power program, do you like this approach? Like this isn't the biggest, sexiest name that's out there, but he could be, a solid player and a good teammate, right? And that is worth more than people obviously can see on paper, for sure. And let us know who are some of your, guys that are like that are available for the Wildcats, or if you just want the Chaz Laniers and you want everybody that's remaining on the. I get that, like we all want. We play the video games, right? We're like we don't want the 3 stars, right? We just want all the 5 stars we can get for sure. So. Let us know either after the show or jump on in before we get on out of here.
Yeah, I love it for sure. We got a few more minutes here before we cut out, but make sure you hit all those buttons if you're watching live or if you're watching later. Like, subscribe, notification bells, hit those comments if you're watching after the fact. We'd love to hear from you. Like Mike said, should Kentucky be approaching a player like this? Should your program approach a player like this, depending on where you sort of fall in the hierarchy of this great game that we love to talk about? Let us know. we'd love to hear from you as well. Last thing here, schedule release. The SEC dropped their schedule. So, of course, here in the hill country of Texas, we are going to talk about the Texas men's basketball schedule dropping here. So pretty there on the screen. We saw that earlier today on X. Home games here. Texas A&M. Love to see that. Love that this is a thing again. It shouldn't have gone away. I didn't care. I was like, okay, that it wasn't around. I didn't wasn't like, oh my gosh, this stinks now. But I'm glad that it's back. Okay. Glad that it's back. The Aggies, of course, Oklahoma coming to town, Tennessee coming to Austin as well, Missouri, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, Arkansas, and yes, Big Blue Nation coming down to Austin. Come see you, broskies, in basketball down here in Texas. Let us know when you come down to check out your team here in Austin as well. And then the Longhorns on the road, Arkansas, Florida, LSU, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. So you see some overlap there. Play some teams twice, home and away, and then other divisions, just one or the other. Kentucky and Austin. But Mike, the thing that stuck out to me and you when we both saw this was that we both thought it was a lead pipe lock that Chris Beard would appear in Austin when Texas joined the SEC. However, that was not the case. So tell me your initial thoughts on this schedule. And again, I will, since I said it was weird about Washington and the Big Ten earlier, I will say I have not gotten used to saying Texas is in the SEC yet. It will take me a while to get used to. But anyways, Mike, what are your thoughts?
First glance, I was like, man, that's a tough schedule. But then I also remembered we were just in the Big 12, where it was like, man, that's just a tough schedule. Like, so yeah, I mean, obviously SEC a top 3-4 conference. Obviously, you add Texas and Oklahoma, but the Big 12, you know, they got Arizona. Colorado's a pretty good program coming in, so it's not like they completely lost everything, right? You got a top 10 program in Arizona. So both conferences going to be in the top 3 or 4 with the Big East, right? We'll see. The ACC will probably always fit in that 5 or 6, and then always have 4 teams make it into the into the Elite 8. So, yeah, I love that we're going to be able to catch Coach Cal in Arkansas here, right? That's going to be fun. Alabama, Nate Oates and what he's building. Obviously, Coach Vogt down here in Austin. I think it's going to be just completely weird to see these teams showing up here for conference games in all sports. I'm absolutely looking forward to it. It'll just be kind of like a shock, but with the Chris Beard thing, I thought that was a lock. I don't understand. How do you think the reception, it's obviously going to happen the following year? I mean, boos, right? I don't.
Oh yeah,
maybe enough time.
No, he's going to get booed out of the building.
Okay, you think
right?
So?
I do, man. I mean, that's probably the thought. You don't, as a conference, you don't want Texas to come in and their first year in the conference look like the brat.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing though. That's exactly. The brat that make your neck snap back. So what you got to do here is you've got to put that space in between, Mike. I agree with what you were saying there before I interrupted you. There's just that extra year on there. Maybe it'll take a little bit of that sting off, but as somebody that had season tickets the last year that the Irwin Center existed with our friend Carrie, as someone that's followed this program closely, and as someone that realized that Chris Beard in Austin was the perfect combination for success, and then because of that personal choice that he made, obviously a very, very poor decision that led to a lot of things, including him losing his job. I think Chris Beard would have won a lot of games in Austin. And I think there are a lot of Texas fans that feel the same way, that are disappointed that he's going to come in as the coach of somebody else into the Moody Center when this should have been his building to hang banners.
It's going to be weird
in the rafters. It's going to be weird. I think it'll be mixed, but I do think there's going to be a ton of boos.
We'll have to wait.
So we're going to have to wait to see. We will wait to see. And we will hopefully see all of you, broskies and broskets, hanging out with us here the Green Screens Media crew on this show we call One and Done. Mike, any closing thoughts on tonight?
No, I'm ready for this kind of combine week to settle up, and we'll find out which of the guys are staying in, which of those big dogs are coming out, and then where those guys are going to go is going to be quite the scene, because some NIL dollars down the stretch are going to be those collectives are going to start re-energizing, right? Maybe Washington will come up with another $2 million, but by that time, so we'll see if they can do that by next week.
Oh yeah, let's go. Let's see those bags. Get your bags, boys and girls, and make sure that you get all the care that you need. Take care of yourself. Tell somebody you love them today, and push all of those buttons for your broskies. Follow us on Twitter at MC Holland 34. He's El Capitan. I am the conductor. My name is Jay Heinrich, at Dr. William Cannon, at Fantasy Nav, at The Real Napier, and of course at One and Done CBB over on Twitter. Make sure you hit us all up. Hit all those buttons for us. We will see you soon. We're never too far away. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss us. Oh, by the way, let's get this bread.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.